The way to stop saying and so much is you just focus on the three P's: pauses, practice, and projection. Okay, so the most important thing is pauses because this will help you in the short term. Because when you want to say and or like, if you just pause there, then you take a second to gather your thoughts. And I'm going to do this whole video in one take to show you that I'm not using any filler words. But if you have a second to gather your thoughts, well, then you won't use these filler words because they're filling up the spaces, right? The reason that they're called filler words is they fill up the spaces. Now, I do stand-up comedy. I make these videos. And yeah, sometimes I still say and that's totally okay. But if you take a second, slow down your rate of speech and pause, you're less likely to say these words. And one other thing you could do is you can visualize yourself speaking clearly and the audience resonating with it. Like when I go on stage and do stand-up comedy, I'm envisioning the audience laughing at my jokes, and that makes it more likely to happen because too many people, they try and think through everything in their head. They try and think through every word they're going to say. But you have to kind of enter a flow state to stop using filler words so much. You have to be comfortable in the scenario because we use filler words to fill up the spaces. And sometimes that's because we feel uncomfortable. But if you want to stop feeling uncomfortable, then get more comfortable pausing. Now, the next thing is practice. You want to practice speaking on camera, speaking on stage as much as you can, because then you become more comfortable in these scenarios, right? Because when you leave your comfort zone, you feel uncomfortable. Speaking on camera, it may feel uncomfortable to you because you haven't done it that much. But if you posted a video for 100 days in a row, well, then you'd feel a lot more comfortable speaking to your phone because you've done it 100 days in a row. You know what I mean? Like I've posted a video now for over 5 months, 150 days in a row, and my speaking skills have improved dramatically just because I've done it so many times. Like I know how to speak to my phone now as if I'm speaking to a person. And when I'm speaking to you, I'm like envisioning that you're in the room with me, that I'm speaking directly to you. And that's another thing that helps. It's like you just pretend you're speaking to one person because then you don't get so nervous. So many people, when they speak on stage or they speak to their phone, they pretend they're speaking to an entire audience. But that would make you nervous, right? Because then you're worrying about what all these people think. But if you just make your presentation for one specific type of person and then deliver your message to that person as if they're in the room with you or as if they're right in front of you, well, then it becomes a lot simpler, it becomes a lot easier, and you're less likely to use pauses to repeat yourself. Sorry, you're still going to use pauses. You're less likely to repeat yourself. You're less likely to use filler words, and then you're more likely to use pauses. So that's the second P is practice, because the more you practice, the easier it gets. And you're still going to mess up, right? Like I messed up previously in a couple sentences ago. Of course you'll mess up, but it's okay to correct yourself. You don't need this unnecessary pressure to like consistently be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Of course you'll mess up, but the more you practice, the easier it gets and the more you feel more comfortable in this scenario, right? When you leave your comfort zone, then it feels uncomfortable for a while. But then if you do it repetitively, it starts to be within your comfort zone, right? Speaking on camera then starts to become within your comfort zone, and then you feel comfortable doing it. So that's the second P is practice. And the third P is projection. Because a lot of times we use filler words when our voice is a lot lower like this, and we're trying to like, fill up the spaces because we don't feel that confident. But if you just project your voice, if you just kind of try and speak louder, you're less likely to use filler words because now your voice is coming more from your stomach than it's from your throat. When you speak from your throat, we tend to like not really enunciate properly and not speak as confidently. But the way to stop using filler words is to speak confidently, is to know what you're saying and actually express that. And one way to kind of like trick yourself to be more confident is to project your voice. And if you focus on those three P's, well then I think you'll use see, look, I still mess up sometimes. You'll use a lot less filler words and your speech will be a lot clearer. And this will help you in so many areas of life, right? Because dating, getting a job, making friends, all of these things are dependent on your ability to communicate yourself. So if you're constantly speaking unclearly, well then it becomes harder to really like have the life that you want in terms of those areas, right? Dating, relationships, like finding a job, all of these things, interviews, like these things that are dependent on your ability to communicate yourself clearly. So one easy thing you could do is you could speak to your phone. You could do this consistently. You don't even have to post a video. You could just do this every day and just talk about your day, and then you'll get so much better at speaking, and that will completely change your life. But if you're having trouble with those filler words, just focus on those 3 P's: pauses, practice, projection. And listen, it's not easy to really remove filler words. It takes time and effort. Like I said, I posted a video for over 100 days in a row, and sometimes I still mess up. That's okay. That's part of the process. But even though it won't be easy, I think it'll be worth it. Life's not easy, but it's worth it. Take care.